Jesse, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I am excited to be here. How are you?
Sweet, man. I am great. I'm great. I'm happy to have you. I guess we'll get right into it, man. Like, I started seeing your videos probably either early this year or sometime last year, maybe. Doing this show, like, I'm always looking for things like guys like you, channels like yours that kind of help artists navigate this crazy world we're living in nowadays, with all the apps and how we connect with our audiences and grow and all that. And I'm sure that's probably why you popped up, was the algorithm working for you there. Tell me about, were you in a band at some point? Like, I feel like you were in a band, so you know the inner workings. You know what I mean?
I always say that I have been in every facet of the music business. I've worked at some point. When I was young, I started off in bands, in like the DIY punk scene. But, at like 17, when we needed to put out our first record, no record label wanted us. So, well, I guess I have to be the record label guy. And then I got recruited by America's last freeform radio station, WFMU, at 16 years old. I started working at a club where international acts toured through at 17. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of just did it all. And then by the time I was 21, I landed myself, after working at a few record labels and some other things, I landed myself at Alan Douches's West Side Music, which Alan is the most credited engineer in the history of music. And I got to work on a lot of things. And then from there, like, what I kind of joke is that it's all been just like a kind of whirlwind ever since then. I managed some bands. I realized that's the worst job in the world. And I then decided I really liked, though, thinking about marketing music. But I did not want to do that with some artist where their hopes and dreams are on the line of me doing it. And being that point person, because my social skills are much better sitting in this room than being out all the time. So, I stopped being a manager. Yeah. And I made this book that's at the information free that I realized people don't like to read anymore. So now I'm on YouTube and TikTok.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Before we get into that, it's funny. I want to rewind for a sec. You mentioned the mastering guy, Alan Douches. Yeah. He mastered one of our records.
Oh, nice.
Years ago. Yeah. It's either he's done one or two records, I think, back in the early 2010s. So that's cool that you brought him up.
Yeah, I mean, my call before this was literally with his daughter, who's a really great artist named Chaz Kiss.
Right on.
Yeah,
that's so cool, man. So that was my kind of my next question was like, so you went on to YouTube, you transitioned to YouTube. What was it? I guess, were you good at like talking to the camera, as a first-time YouTuber? Or, like, were you comfortable or no?
No, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not like I'm a hideous troll or anything, but I am very much more comfortable as a behind-the-scenes person. Like, I can perform, and the other aspect of this is like, my day job is like I host and produce like one of the top podcasts in America. And like, I'm very comfortable talking. Like, I've been podcasting for years. I did my audiobooks, but you have to learn so many things about how to keep people engaged on there that like, I still feel like, I was watching the guy who edits like Jake Paul videos this weekend, talking about like what you have to do this weekend. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I got so long to go. This is just insane. But, there was like a thing. I watched this guy who's a lot bigger than me still plagiarizing my words. Like, he's just reading whole cloth, like not like, a lot of times in music business, we're saying things that somebody said 100 times, but I'm like, this is my own thought. I put in a book that I came up with. Everybody knows I coined this. And this guy's saying it like it's his fucking idea. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I have an iPhone. I own a recording studio. I have microphones. It's fucking go time. And the early videos look terrible, but that's what you're supposed to do. Is you're supposed to just get started, make mistakes, and keep getting better. And that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So was it do you feel like you're there now? Like you're pretty comfortable talking? I mean, when I see your videos, the ones from this year and all that for sure, like you definitely look like you're used to it. And it's so funny too. One of the first things I picked up on, I don't know what it is, but like a couple of your videos, I just felt like, listen, motherfucker, this is how you have to do it. Like, you have this really direct, like you're doing it wrong. Here's how you do it, you know?
Well, you know what it is too, is so like I watch the competition and I watch what a lot of people say. And like, there's just so many people who are giving advice that have just read an article and haven't actually done it. There's so many people who are giving advice because it benefits their wallet. And there's so many people who are giving advice that haven't been in it. And like, I'm lucky, like, I was on 2 calls today with major label artists that are going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on their marketing plan. And I was on 2 calls with artists that don't have 2,000 fans yet. I talk to a wide swath of people in every incarnation of that. But it also means I have a network and data where I can see what's reality. And like, there's just so many people who are fucking full of shit or just literally putting on rosy red glasses like, oh, these Facebook ads are making me grow. And it's like, dude, you have 3,000 listens. That's not fucking growth. Like, that's not a scale that like most people are talking about doing. And I'm just flabbergasted at the idea of like that this is what people call advice and growth, and that they're so confident to say it. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm very confident. I'm glad that shows, because I do also think that like I know I'm right because like I get data and I get feedback all the time. And the funny thing is like I don't have a lot of losses on the board.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's just, I picked up on it for sure. It just sounds like you know what the fuck you're talking about. Mm-hmm. When I started the pod back in 2018, and it was because I'd wanted to do it for a while, and I finally decided I'm going to record myself. I did like 25 minutes or something, and just kind of talked about what I would have done differently when I was starting the band. And I started my band in '95, and I'm still in that same fucking band. When it went out there, I was really excited. I was like nervous too. And I started getting really good response back. So I was like, well, shit, I'm gonna start making more. And it was just fun. But I try to, I do, like comb YouTube and read some articles and things to try to get a good, I like to watch and get different perspectives. Cause if I feel like a certain way, that's pretty much with anything, but especially here, like when I want to deliver a message to somebody or some kind of advice, that I'll just try to see all the different perspectives and things. And I felt like I'd been doing this for so long that I was good enough, because I've been giving advice to bands, backstage, to our openers, our support acts, and friends of mine that are doing it, that are just starting out like for years. And I kind of felt like I was like, well, shit, I should just, talk about this and, see if I can get the message out there further. And I try to not sound like I'm full of shit. Like I try to stay in my lane and just sort of go off experience and sort of, I can, we've done probably many of the things that you've talked about, maybe not as like grand, or maybe not even as taken it as far as maybe you have in the past with your stuff. But, we've done radio campaigns, and, we've worked with Uncle, and, we got to the AAA stations.
Oh, nice.
And we did that a bunch of times on our records, a few records back. We've been all over the country on tour. We've been into Canada. We've done a ton of things. And I try to take all that information and sort of like focus it and funnel it into these episodes, and just sort of give my my take, and this is the things that I learned from it. But when I watch your videos, there's so much information, and it's like, okay, hold on, pause.
Yeah, I know. People give me a lot of. At first, it was you talk too fast. Now it's just like, okay, the information comes out a little. But yeah, very intentionally so too, because what I do is I start writing something. On average, if I start writing a script, it doesn't come out for 6 to 8 months.
Really?
Because I won't really want to think about it. Every once in a while, there's something that's like, oh, well, this happened this week and we got to talk about this right now. But and TikTok, I've been trying to make stuff where it's like I react to the music news. Like, yesterday I made one on Adele with the Spotify shuffle thing. And like, a lot of the people who do this they have research assistants that write the whole article for them. They don't really care that much. They don't have that much skin in the game. But I try to really, it's so hard to explain things in a way people understand and use teaching mechanisms. And I just, I know from doing this for a long time, teaching for decades now, that's like kind of part of the work.
Yeah, that's why I had the question earlier about like being an awkward or comfortable speaker, like because the way you deliver it, and you're writing it for sure, which is great. That's a great thing to do.
Yeah,
I never write my shit. I just kind of it's like storyteller format, But the things that you're saying, it's all direct and it's articulated very well. It's very easy to understand, and every episode's like, robust, you have a lot of stuff, a lot of information. And I don't know, so that's cool. I'm glad to hear that, it's clear that, you know what you're doing and it's good.
Yeah, there's enough people out there that are just half-assing it. It's like, I want to be the most, put together, well thought out person in the game.
Right. Yeah, it's everything. Like I said, it comes out super clean, and the shorts look good. The shorts and the TikToks and all that stuff.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. TikTok is. Oh, go ahead.
I was to say better. I just spent like $3,500 on the Sony A7 and a lens, which I know nothing about how to use. So
nice. Hell yeah, dude. I know. I have to learn all my shit too. Mirrorless.
It's so funny. Like when you've been doing music as long as us, I'm like, I know how to do all the things. And it's like I get a camera. I'm like, wow, I'm as dumb as my clients are. Yeah. Holy shit. Am I looking at this the right way?
The files are in the computer.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask about the TikTok thing, because that was one of the things, and I know that like, it's like, I know the answers to this, but like, I do want to hear from you. Like, I've just always been like where I can't seem to, I always forget about TikTok, and maybe it was because of my age. I was on Instagram, and I did Snap for a little bit, like 5-6 years ago, but it was kind of on its way out already, but I stopped doing it.
But by the time I got to Snapchat, it was when Instagram was killing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, there's no need for this anymore. But with TikTok, and I loved, I think it was one of your recent videos, you were saying you don't have to be a fucking dancer anymore. Yeah. Like it's really, it's starting to be more geared towards musicians if that's what you want these days. And it's starting to be for more than just dancing and silly shit. How do I wrap my brain around this? Like, how can I explain this to my audience?
I got a new one for you, because it's like the funny thing of like what I do all day. Like I tape every conversation I have, like almost all the time, because like if I'm going to be explaining things. And the other day, like what I said to somebody is like, so you remember in 2011 when everybody would say, fucking Instagram, man, it's just like pictures of eggs and your breakfast, and it's all narcissists taking pictures of them. And then within 2 years, every single person was on it showing their life and showing what happens. That's the transition period I think we entered kind of late summer with TikTok. is that TikTok started to just become updates. Here's what's going on with me, not just things. Yes, the things that perform best are very performative, well thought out, good ideas, have some creativity to them. That's literally music too, and people get mad at it. It's like, you know what does best musically? Usually somebody with a really good idea doing some pretty decent execution at it. And so it's yet again just becoming what all the other social networks have become. It's not just twerking and things like that. I have yet to twerk on there, even though I got some good dance moves. I will be honest. Don't let this nerdy exterior fool you. Anyway,
love that.
I like like when I watch it now, what I see is, and I see, like, I have clients of mine from my consulting that do things like where they're literally like, they can see a spike in their Spotify numbers in the thousands from one post that just does well of making some joke about their genre, but inserting their music into it, of like, how many times have you heard a singer say this? Like, I'm so lonely. And it's like, then they show their text messages and it's like, you flick through like, oh, I texted 200 people today. Like something like that. And it's like, yeah, then they got all these streams. They have their song in the background. And it's like, that's the beauty of TikTok.
Yeah. And that's where, so like, if you're not the type of person that's going to be dancing and anything performative in that sense, would you say that try to tell a story somehow? Like, is that, go ahead.
So interesting. Like, obviously you've seen my channel. I focus hard on storytelling because I think actually, like, that's what works often well on, Twitter and Instagram, where you get the most mileage. It works good in a Facebook post, it works good in a YouTube vlog. But TikTok is interesting because then there's like another kind of splinter of the storytelling. That, yes, storytelling is amazing. Like, I see consistently when you look at the top TikTok charts that a lot of the ones that get up there are usually like fast things, but they're also like an interesting story of somebody just like, can you believe this person did this on this date, or things like that. But what's also interesting with TikTok is like, there's just visual things that work. There's getting to literally just like expand what, like, if we think of stand-up comedy as being like at its root, what works most well in jokes is like obviously storytelling, but it's also making somebody see a new reality that they didn't think of before. Mm-hmm. And a lot of TikTok, even if it's not funny, is just like observational things where you're like, never thought of that way. And that does very well on there. So that's the splinter I think that's happening, but also just visual chaos. And let's also be honest, what goes really far? Cringe is currency.
Cringe
is currency these days. Like we can't avoid that. Thank you, Reddit and 4chan.
I have this weird, it's like anytime like anything cringe, it's literally hard for me to watch. I know some people really get off on it, but like for me, it's just like, it really does weird me out. I can't watch, like, I don't like watching like people like pranking people sometimes. It's weird. I don't know. Like, it's like when somebody's like, when you really make someone really like turn a situation awkward on purpose. I fucking hate that because I try to avoid awkward situations whenever possible. It's really weird. I feel bad for the people in the video.
Did you watch White Lotus?
No.
The interesting thing about that show is like what its hidden intent was that it's like a Rorschach for what you personally see as cringe. That they're making all the characters do cringe, but you then look at it and you're like, no, but that character's not doing cringe, and that says something about you. Because they're all doing what really is cringy things. Right.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. White
Lotus. Very, very interesting like way to look at the show.
Okay. So would it be like, I think I've tried to explain to people in the past, like people like seeing, like what their favorite bands do. Like whenever we do like like a recap. You know, we always we'll try to have someone come out and then shoot a recap, you know, like a minute, 2 minutes long, just from the day and then the show.
Yeah.
And I've every time that we hire someone now, I tell them, you know, like, people know that we do this. People see, you know, the crowd shots and, you know, the arms up and us just ripping on stage. They know that we do that every night. So let's show like 10 seconds of that, and then give me like another 50 seconds of like us backstage talking about a sandwich that we ate and how good or bad it was. You know what I mean? Some sort of like, I feel like people want to see the mundane things, but we go, that's fucking boring. Why would anybody want to see that? Why would anybody want to watch that? And I've tried to explain that to people, to bands that, you know, friends of mine. I'm like, yo, you got to get on there more and just make a cup of coffee and like talk about what kind of coffee or whatever, you know, what you like the best or whatever. And I find myself even, you know, even though I give the advice, sometimes I don't even take it and I feel weird. I'm like, I'm not going to film this. This is stupid. So I guess I got to get over that. But would you say that would be a great approach to, you know, connecting and growing the brand a little bit?
So the biggest problem with making content comes down to like a very weird balance of that. Like, in general, most people are 5 steps ahead of their audience. Like, it's a thing, you know, that's one of the roughest rides of like when you are in a famous band is that like, yeah, you love the rush from the fans, but then you talk to the fans and it can be very unfulfilling because they're not really giving you the stimulation you get from your peers, and they're saying things that are very below you. So it's like, it's doing that, but then also you want to think about what would be exciting. And like, so I have this, so the audience understands this. I don't know if you know this, but so like I was saying, like my day job is, I produce a lot of podcasts for one of the biggest news organizations in America. And I particularly produce and co-host one on politics. So like the thing being is like, I'm 20 years into studying politics every day. So like, I can't sit here and challenge myself to always be like, well, just the other day I was reading this academic paper on how authoritarian things come into being. Like, no one wants to fucking hear it. So, and it's the same thing with this YouTube channel. It's like, I could get, you know, like what I have to think about all the time with the YouTube channel is like, have I shown the audience enough content in the past on this thing that those who are engaged with my content are going to get it? What you have to do content wise, I think, is always think about, there's this great book from Brene Brown on vulnerability that I can never remember the thing, but like what her take is that the way you build relationships with anyone, the way you build a friendship, an audience relationship, anything like that, is the vulnerability is the greatest tool in your toolbox. So now, that can often be seen as going as far as you can, like talking about the worst death in your life, the worst heartbreak, your greatest fears. But vulnerability is also just being like, hey, I'm a really nerdy, huge bookshelf type of guy. Dude, I will tell you straight up, I love talking bad dates. I love that fucking meme right now about pondering my orb. I can send those all day long. And like, what you have to do is you have to say, this is my authentic personality. These are the things I find interesting. They're not the headiest things, and show people what that is. And like, that is how building relationships with audiences happen, is like, get comfortable with the fact that like, you know, if sandwiches, listen, I can tell you the top 20 pizza slices in my neighborhood. like I am passionate about that. If sandwiches are your passion, talk about that. But just talk about what you authentically enjoy. Like, that's what everybody who content's working for, that is what they're doing.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like, you know, and my thing is that I've seen other YouTube advice where they say, you know, kind of, you know, whatever your channel, think about what your channel is in respect to YouTube stuff. Like, you know, whatever your channel is going to be about, like, think about, you know, kind of pick like one thing, I've heard, because you don't want to do too many different types of videos, I guess, or styles or something, or different, like, because you're going to confuse people. You know, you want them to know what they're coming to you for, the reason why they sub up. They want more of that, maybe. And I've always been the type, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about that, but I've always been the type to like, I just love doing everything and talking about different things. I started the Tales Pod because, you know, I'm just telling people about what it's been like for me being in a band. And here, you know, everything that we learned on our own. All the hard shit, like we went through it by ourselves. Nobody told us. And I wish somebody would have done this for me, you know, told me these things. But then on like the YouTube channel, man, so it's kind of the same thing, but then I'll get on and I'll jam for our fans, and but then I'll do video games. You know, I'll play video games, and those streams, bro, those are like, it'll start at like 30, 40 people watching. It gets down to like 3 people watching, you know, because they're not as into it as I am, and I don't really care. That's fine. But I also don't want to like, I don't know. I don't want to fragment it too much. I don't know. But I love doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I want to do it all.
This is a problem a lot of people have, is that like we want to show all sides of ourselves. We want to show all things. I think sometimes it's important to know when you've gotten to the place where people want a larger dose of content from you. Interesting thing I've made a choice of is like, so I've only done 1 live stream. Now keep in mind, I own a live stream studio with 2 studios in Times Square. Like I can literally, anytime that studio is not booked, I can walk in and start doing a live stream.
Sick.
But what I've noticed is I like don't think my audience is always there to just hear me rant and roar. Like I have a engaged audience, but like they're not looking for 2 hours of me. They're looking for my greatest hits. They're not looking, you know, the TikToks going very fast for me, probably the fastest I've ever grown anything in my life. But like, it's sometimes important to consider cart before horse things in like your thing. And I know you've been at it a while, but like what I think is an interesting thing is like live streaming, particularly in the video game format, seems so shoot the shit, and like so many people are like, oh well, I'm just going to ramble with my thoughts, that like people have a million choices for what they could be doing right now. So you actually have more competition. When I think like the video game live stream is often the lowest common denominator of content right now, because it's so acceptable to just shoot the shit and just, you know, not really care how deep you are getting. Like you're like, yeah, and then this morning at breakfast, I was thinking, oh, what do I do if I dye my hair blue? Oh, like, you know, I see these thoughts, and it's like, even from bigger people, it's like, it's not their best thoughts. And I've come to realize my audience, I think, wants my best thoughts, not all my thoughts.
I hear that. Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. Like, you know, playing video games, because one thing that I'm doing is when I'm playing video games, I'm into it, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to, you know, I'm paying attention to the chat and I'm answering questions or just shooting the shit or whatever. And you can't really get insanely deep, you know, it's gonna be all surface type of shit, like, oh yeah, bro, I hate that song or whatever, you know. Yep. And whereas, you know, as opposed to like if I was just sitting down and just chatting kind of like this, then we could get into that. What's definitely worked best for me is I was doing in 2019 I started doing this when I decided I want to go like hard on YouTube. I started doing a song every day. I started acoustic song every day, right? And this was just, you know, covers and our own songs, whatever. But then I went on tour, and I started doing it on, you know, on the tour. And I got 46 days into this whole thing from January 1st, so somewhere like end of February, I guess, mid-February. I couldn't do it anymore because like by the time we got into the West Coast, and I was trying to post every night at 7 o'clock. And on the West Coast, that's when we're loading in, you know, 4 o'clock. And it's like, I don't have time to do these now. And I can't find a quiet space. And anyway, I burnt myself out, you know, and then of course I got punished by the algorithm. That's all true, you know, cause I stopped.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest with you, I got really burnt out and busy after the election this year. I worked too much and I started posting less, and my channel was having its best time. And I've faced the wrath of the algorithm.
It's a very real thing, man. It's crazy. And I had heard that like they'll start burying your shit if you're not loyal, you know, if you're not like constantly going. And I I bit off more than I could chew, spread myself too thin, and I should have done one a week, you know, and then just, you know, pre-filmed a few of them and just spread them over the month, you know, and just, I was reading some things, you know, like spend a day, like, you know, Tim Ferriss was saying this. He was like, you know, batch your day, like set one recording day and just get 5 different t-shirts and sit there and just bang them out, you know? So you don't put yourself in a corner like that. Yeah, those videos definitely do the best for me whenever I still do them, just not as often. I try to do one a week if I can. Then I have the live stream. So every Wednesday night I stream at 9 p.m. and I just get on there. Usually it ends up being about 2 hours, just hanging out. I call it Let's Hang Out. So I'm like, yo, tonight, let's hang out at 9 p.m. You know,
nice.
Just chill, bro. And like, just have the fans there and just like, they're requesting songs. I'm singing where I'm doing dumb shit. Like I have this roadcaster here and I cue up stupid sounds and it's kind of turned into like a show.
So mine's right here.
Yeah, dude. It's the best, man. It's the best.
It's the best sounding. If you think of it this way, I own 4.
You own 4? That's sick.
Podcast live stream studio, you know.
Dude, that's so cool, man. So yeah, tell me about the podcasting life, man. Like, how long have you been doing the podcasting stuff?
So I started podcasting in 2014. Zach Cirillo, who manages massive artists like Cavetown, Chloe Moriando, Flat Sound, tons of others. Him and I started one on the music business where you would just literally discuss music tech, music consumption, stuff like that. But then he got a job managing a tiny little band called Brand New. Yes. Never hurt. Went on to lots of success. Nice. But so Zach, you know, that band is very secretive. So they were not really down with Zach talking about what he does for work all day. So I kept going. I had a couple different podcasts, but I also started producing podcasts for other people. Then I got picked up by Atlantic Records to make podcasts and do like marketing, kind of like what we called like telling stories of artists to pursue the agenda we wanted to do. But what was also cool about Atlantic is they were like, hey, you know, we really don't think people understand what we really do. Why don't you tell that story too? And so I got to do these really unprecedented looks at like how Atlantic really does work with artists that are like, I mean, it was amazing. Like they never, like, sure, there'd be like some things like with Wallows, they'd be like, let's not mention that Dylan's on that TV show that much. Like, please, like they were trying to get the band respect. I'm like, yeah, okay, we don't need to talk about that all the time. But what they would talk about is like, they talk about how much the A&R said, you know, maybe you should go work on that song some more. And like, we had realistic looks of like, how a lot of hit songs and hit records, like that'd be like, no, this mix sucks. Then we had to get it mixed by somebody else, even though this guy was huge. We had this other guy mix it, and they're really realistic looks. But Atlantic, for some reason, when COVID hit, said, you know, we should shut down podcasts. No one's going to listen to those during this pandemic.
What?
But I got lucky and I got this job with the Daily Beast where I work now, which I just absolutely love. And I produce a ton of other podcasts. I do right now I have a series with Matt Pryor of the Get Up Kids called Vagrant 25 Years on the Streets, where we're retelling the story of all the huge bands on Vagrant's roster. I have another podcast called Killed by Desk, where we interview people who were in popular punk bands about their present day life. I think I do some more. Yeah, I can't remember. I know I work on 13 different podcasts every single week. Some of them are more I am hired to oversee and just do strategy and marketing, but others I'm like in there tweaking everything myself and doing all the things. And,
you know what it's, I like to keep myself busy. Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to put, you know, or how much time it takes to do this. And then, you know, I don't do a ton of editing on my I just throw them up, try to keep it really raw and all that. But like, you know, making YouTube videos, I mean, so you're doing all that, 13 podcasts, and you're making these really good YouTube videos, quality. I mean, you got to be 18 hours a day doing this shit. I mean,
here's a really interesting thing. Everybody thinks I'm really, 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 really busy. I work 2 16-hour days a week, usually Mondays and Tuesdays. I will work from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep. And I like it like that. Wednesday, I work about a 10-hour day. Thursday, it's usually about a 10 to 12-hour day. Friday, I work from 9 to 7 p.m. and I don't work at all again until Monday, usually. Some weeks, if there's something really fucked up, like I had to move one of my recording studios this year, I went in on the weekend and did construction and moved things and set up things for every weekend for 6 weeks. But most of my life, like it's, I get to have a life and do things. The other thing is too, is I mix things up a lot. I mean, I should also say this. I have a massive team. I have 5 assistants. And none of them are all full-time, but they all do specific different things for me that I need help with. One person handles emails and scheduling, one person edits podcasts, another person preps mixes and masters for me. Another person works in the live stream studio. I have a lot of help, but I also just like, the other thing is like you can mix things up. Like I can listen to a podcast, work on hooking up some gear while I do it on some headphones. And then I can also write. I mean, I write all my YouTube scripts usually at a bar eating buffalo wings or mac and cheese while I'm sipping a beer.
Nice.
So I keep a multifaceted thing, but I tell people this also, like instructive to their own lives, is also like when I go to work, I just work hard. I don't dick around. I don't use chat apps. I'm very particular about not texting people back until, like you were saying with the Tim Ferriss thing, is like any text that's not important, I batch all of them all during a certain time, like on the subway or something like that. Most texts do not need an answer right away. And same thing with emails, is like I do it all at once. And it's stunning when you're not getting your attention broken all day, how much you can get done.
Yeah, when Do Not Disturb was invented, I was like,
oh yeah,
fuck yeah. Like every night, man, at like 10, 15 or something, my shit goes into Do Not Disturb, and it's like, fuck off,
Yeah.
It's the best. And sometimes I'll throw it on when I'm trying to get something done, or like leave my phone upstairs or something like that, because you tend to just go pick it up,
Yeah. No doubt about it that like I use that app Freedom to turn off all social media. I get anything, because also like when I'm writing, I have to Google things, so I have to have some sort of web access. But like, there is you need to have an insane focus to get all this done.
Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about the whole engineer producer side of you. So yeah, you're working on records too. You got a podcast, doing records and doing videos.
I still mix and master a lot of records. I don't produce very much anymore because 22 years later, telling an 18-year-old his guitar is out of tune has gotten a little boring for me. But I take on sub jobs. But yeah, I still mix and master. I mean, I conceivably in 3 days this week will master like 10 records.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible, dude. Yeah, it's I was able to keep really busy during the pandemic. Actually, we couldn't tour, so 18 months of nothing. So I just really put it out there. I was doing like acoustic house parties, like just driving wherever and
nice
that to keep the bills up, or keep the bills paid. And but then picking up other artists to produce and record and mix and all that, and same thing, YouTube videos, editing the podcast, and whatever the fuck else. I have a family, so there's that.
Oh yeah, well that takes up time.
Yeah, sure.
See, that's what gets me is not having that.
Yeah, so it frees up your time to I totally get it, because there's definitely a lot, like, man, like I'll be working, because after, a 12, 14-hour day down here, I'll stay down here all day long, working on something. And I'll start feeling bad, I'll like, man, because the kids and all that. And I'm like, you know what? If I didn't have a family, I would just fucking roll till like 5 a.m. doing this shit,
Yeah, that's that. I mean, a lot of my life is like, oh, this is fun. Oh, I'm really enjoying making this video. Ooh, it's 3 a.m. and you got to be up at 9, and you've drank a bottle and a half of wine, buddy. It's time for bed.
yeah, dude. Oh man, but that is the key word there, fun. Like, to me, it's like. I'll sit in here all goddamn day, and it's just fun, man. I'm making shit. That's just what I do. I don't know how many times I've said that. I just like making shit. It's just there's something about it, and learning, and with with mixing and making records. I mean, there's something to learn every single day. Every project you work on. So yeah.
No, I mean, it's funny. I'm 24 years into mixing records. And I did a thing the other day that I was like, oh, there we are. That's that thing I've always wanted to do. Like, I found that sound that I've always been wanting to make. Oh, and it's like, I think 2,000 records deep in my discography. And it's like, yeah, you could still be discovering things every day because it's just endless possibilities these days.
Wow, man. You've definitely got way more than me. But, I feel like, I was doing it every day when I started like learning how to mix and stuff. I've always wanted to record myself and my band and learn how to mix and all that, and learn how to like, because I never knew how to communicate the sound in my head, like what I was trying to get done.
That's why I started.
Yeah. It was like, I need to figure out how to do this so I can stop trying to explain to people and just get it done. Be a lot quicker that way. Did take like, probably like 6 years, 5 years before I felt comfortable doing anything with any other band. And then I finally started like fucking around and mixing my own band's records about a year and a half ago, maybe. So yeah, I just didn't want to do anything until I felt like I was actually ready. Cause I'm happy to pay the pros,
Yep.
But it's great having everything, being able to do everything in-house, and get your message across the way you intended it. I don't know. It's something cool about that,
Yeah. And the thing I tell people too, I've actually been writing a script on this, is like, I talk to a lot of artists every day, and a lot of them deal with really bad depression. And, what cured my depression was like getting addicted to creating. And I've been addicted for, I guess, 24 years now. And like, I've only dealt with depression under very specific circumstances, whereas I was a miserably depressed person before I got, but like creating, making progress, seeing progress, and being stimulated by the process can really do a number for you. Now, it's hard to crawl out of that hole and get to that place, but like it is definitely a path that can really, really help a lot of people. And it's what keeps me happy. And it's why, like, when people are like, you can slow down, you're doing pretty well. I'm like, I mean, this is what I enjoy. I mean, like everything I do, I'm enjoying it.
That's incredible, man. And like, yeah, people don't understand, like, I worked plenty of shit jobs, loading trucks and waiting tables and things like that back in the day. But I have a lot of people that I know from school that are just, doing, regular jobs and, or working for the government. We have a thing out here and government stuff out here. And like, just, I don't know, it's just doing regular stuff, office jobs and things. And they're totally fine with it, But for me, I was like, I don't ever want to fucking do this ever again. Like, this is it. And so I try to load it all up and learn all I can and do the things. And people are like, wow, man, I can't even imagine, like the guy that works at the office, I can't even imagine, like, going on tour like you guys. You're here, then you're over here a few days later. It's like, And then I try to keep a presence, like videos and songs and stuff, and always be talking about things. And people are like, man, you're always doing this and this. It's like, I just love it. It's just fun. Like, I mean, it gets tired. And those days, I mean, look, I don't know about you, but like, of course I get burnt out doing this shit sometimes.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just saying it. Yeah. I mean, I was incredibly, I worked 1 million hours during that fucking election, and that, I literally didn't want to do anything because I was so fucking tired, and I got fat. My blood pressure went through the roof. Like all these things I've never had in my fucking life because I was working every hour of the day, hoping to God that our country didn't fall into an authoritarian hellhole.
Yeah. How fucking weird was that shit?
It was pretty weird.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now the problem is the podcast's really successful where there are people who discuss that all day. So I have to keep staring it in the eye every day, which is maybe not the funnest thing I do.
Yeah. That's the least fun thing you do, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We finally got back on tour back in September.
Oh, nice.
After 18 months, and it felt great. We did kept a pretty strict like COVID protocol. Like we didn't leave the bus till we would just we'd go on stage and then we'd come back. There was no like we weren't hanging out, high-fiving and doing the things we normally do. We usually go to the merch table every night.
Just,
do the thing.
Everybody's told me that like that's the thing is like you risk financial disaster, and like truthfully it's like I was looking forward. I was going to meet 2 friends who've been like internet friends from the music business that were coming to town, and they were on the bus. And so I just had COVID, so I'm immune. So they're like, "Oh, we can meet you. This is great." And sure enough, like half the crew got COVID the night before, and now the tour's over.
It sucks, man. We got out. We did like 7 weeks, and when we got out to California, we played Santa Cruz at the Catalyst, and I felt like head cold thing happening. I was like, this is still a thing. There's still cold. It's still the cold, and I was in denial, and then like. That 2 days later, I lost my taste. And like, I was like, dude, we had to sit out like 5 or 6 shows on the West Coast, and we lost so much money.
Yeah.
And it was like, meanwhile, I'm scrolling, like envying and being all depressed at these other bands that are still, playing right now. And like, these bands are going in the fucking crowd. They're fucking hanging out, drinking beer, spit in my mouth, bro. Like just and like, and here we were doing the best we could, and we still got it anyway, Well, so frustrating.
I will tell you the horror story I heard from somebody, which was that like one band I know all went and intentionally got it before their tour. Which I can't believe, because like honestly, like dude, I'm a month in, and like I still have a cough. I still get aches every day. Like it's like it's ridiculous to do that to yourself. But I also kind of get that, like if you're just like, hey man, I want touring to be like it used to be, that like, well, the only way you're doing that is if you're vaccinated, you go get it. It's as long as you're of a certain weight class and don't have lung problems, it's kind of safe to say. I mean, I was very lucky. Like I literally thought I had allergies. I tested negative twice on shitty rapid tests, and then I got a real one, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Man, it's such a bummer, man. I know. Oh. It's so funny. We were talking about that shit last night, actually. Like next time we go on tour, we'll have like a coughing party. Like everybody just get in a room and cough on each other.
You guys are going to bug chase is like what the term was. Who's got COVID? You're on Craigslist, like those casual encounters. Who's got COVID and wants to meet up?
Yeah, like some super weird shit. Like, oh man. Yeah. So I don't know. And it's like after going through that, like it was kind of like, because it was funny because half the bus didn't get it, half the bus did. The guys that did get it we all got hotel rooms around the LA area. And the other guys had to sit in a Walmart parking lot for like 5 or 6 days. And it was just, it was awful. Yeah, terrible. And so like, it's kind of like the weird, awkward coughing party might not be a bad idea next time.
Yeah, I mean, like it was like that thing of like, I heard them say that, like the story of that from the friend. And I was like, I know who he was talking about. I was like, yeah, it sounds like them. And I'm like, it's both like concussed and absolutely brilliant. Because there is like truth. It's like, if all you want to do is get back out there, like, It's not the worst thing. Like, I mean, unfortunately, the thing to think about is that, like, we don't know that it's 3 months is like the minimum that you're good for. It seems as the science is heading there. So it's like, who knows?
Yeah, we would. Obviously, everybody out there watching, I would never fucking do that.
Yeah,
but
yes.
It was a fucking thought, and it just sounded funny and like smart and dumb at the same time.
Oh, I mean, that's the shitty thing about life. Like, sometimes is that, like, you can't help but having some really, really ridiculous thoughts with, like, some of the things that are thrown at us. You're just like, well, maybe this is the option here.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I hope things are, getting better by the spring, and, because we got a tour in February. It's only like 9 or 10 shows. But I'm hoping, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. It was just going to, whatever. So I know that we're getting up on time here. What is how long you said like writing a script takes like what you said 6 to 8 months or something like that?
If you think of this way, I joke that I put maybe 2 to 3 hours into each one. Mm-hmm. But what I like to do is I like to have an idea and then keep thinking about my thoughts on it. And just like every time something pops into mind, a lot of the times when I consult with artists and I do marketing meetings, at the end of it, I'm just like notating recordings I've done of like what I said and my ideas. And then I'm like going back, listening to it. And I'm like, this would be good for this one. This would be good for this one. And I'm adding them in. Because I just also have known, like, like the ones I've rushed, I'm usually looking back. I'm like, I could have said that better. I could have said that better. I could have said that better. Like, like I wanted to, when I started dipping into TikTok videos, I kept being like, this thing's changing too fast. This thing, it's not like where I want it to be. And I'm like, and then once it like got to that place, I'm like, okay, now I can comment because I know it. And like, I think there's just like this thing too, and this is part of my work in politics, is that like the worst thing and the worst people at talking about politics just run for the first take possible. Yeah. They have to get their opinion out there so fast, and it's always fucking stupid and badly measured, and they look like fools. Whereas like when you talk to these people who've, one, are experts, and two, like I kind of joke that like I'm like at this point a music marketing historian, because I've been studying music marketing for 25 years consistently. So like I've seen so many different things and been in this for so long that I'm able to like be like, oh, that's just like this, that's like this, this, and just all the parallels are so easy at this point. But like I want it to be a really well thought out thing, because it's not worth, like everything I do, I want it to be really considered good. But like the funny thing is, like I joke that like what I like about like doing something like this, like a podcast, is it's the one time I can create something and not have the pressure that I have to be my best thing and my most researched thing. It's like, yeah, I was just shooting the shit with somebody. This is, it's like, I feel like I'm doing damn good on most of them, but like it doesn't need to be like my most eloquent moment of my life. Whereas these videos, I mean, I see what it's like when like I make some content and like people are still writing me about it decades later.
That's wonderful. It's you putting in the work, it makes a difference. It definitely absolutely makes a difference.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, the fucking this is great. You're talking about ways to make your one piece of content work for you across all the other platforms, particularly the ones where you can make the short ones, 15 seconds, 60 seconds. And the way you explained it was brilliant. The human centipede.
Yeah. Some people didn't think so, but
dude, and then where's the sense of humor? I mean, come on, dude.
I mean, I get that some people have triggers about things. I mean, the funny thing, this girl's like, I intentionally don't watch things like this because I'm very disturbed by it. And this really it was not pleasant to turn on to. And I'm like, I actually understand, because you know what? I can't watch those movies. Like I've never seen them all the way through because I have to look away. I find it so repulsive. But I was like, there's just like, I have a real meme-based, real just, I love a uncomfortable subject. I love a real, like when somebody says, this is the most grotesque movie you'll ever see, I'm like, well, know what we're doing tonight. I'm a fly to shit. And, I just kept thinking, I'm like, well, what's the teaching mechanism for how you cut down content these days? And it's like, yes, you make long content, but then it gets digested down to a smaller and smaller. The human centipede.
Fucking brilliant. I'm sorry. It's fucking brilliant.
I was real pleased with myself. And like my assistants, like when they saw that I was doing that, they're like, what's wrong with you?
And you had it all drawn out.
Yeah. I mean, there's a thing like with a 43-year-old man who's this amused with himself about these things is sometimes a little questionable.
I'll put the link to that video in the description of this video. Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I know you got to get going. Where can everybody find you? All the platforms.
JesseCannon.com is like kind of my website that shows everybody where I am. At Jesse Cannon on all the socials. Musformation Jesse Cannon on YouTube is like my main thing. If you want to learn about my books, record production, any of the other things I do, JesseCannon.com is it.
Awesome, man. Yeah. I thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun.
It was really fun chatting, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Pick your brain a little bit. It's good. I'll probably be hitting you up in the future for some advice, but
please do. Would love to chat.
Definitely, man. Well, have a wonderful night, and we really appreciate you coming on, man. I'll make sure everybody's linked up.
Awesome. Let me know when it comes out. I'll help promote.
I will, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, dude. Later, Jesse.
See ya.